Complex numbers. This particular topic is prerequisite for complex analysis. That is the basic concepts which we should know before starting complex analysis. My dear friends, we just try to understand what is a complex number. Okay, what is modulus of complex number, what is argument of complex number. We try to understand what is principal argument. Then we learn how can we express a complex number in polar form and exponential form. Then we can also find the roots of a complex number. Okay, these are some very basic concepts, okay, which we are going to address in this particular topic. Let us start with complex number. What is a complex number? A complex number is a point in xy plane. What is a complex number, sir? It is a point in xy plane. Just like a real number is a point on real line, complex number is a point in xy plane. So this particular point can be expressed like this: x plus iy. See, if you understand, the addition and multiplication of this ordered pair, then you can understand this particular definition. Am I clear? So this x is called the real part of z and this y is called imaginary part of z. So actually this z would be x comma 0 plus 0 comma 1 into y comma 0. So this is what your x. See, when it is x comma 0 means you are on real line, so it is real number. 0 comma 1, the values on or the points on y axis are the imaginary axis. This is called real axis, this is called imaginary axis. So the values on y axis, okay, are imaginary numbers. So when it is 0 1, it is I, 0 2 2i, 0 3 3i, like that. 0 minus 1 minus I. So this y comma 0 is again real number, so it is z is equal to x plus I. So this is the idea. Hope you understand. So this is how we can express complex number. Actually from this you get this particular form. Is the idea clear? And actually this I square you are going to, when you multiply this 0 1 with 0 1, if you understand the multiplication of ordered pairs, am I clear? Complex numbers, actually not ordered pair, they are complex numbers. We get this one, minus 1 comma 0 you get, and that is why I square is minus 1, therefore I will be under root minus. So this I will be under root minus 1. Like that we are going to get this particular value, my dear friends. Okay, see, I am not getting into the addition and multiplication of complex numbers. I am just trying to give you a simple idea. Is the idea clear? Like that. So this is complex number. Now what is conjugate of a complex number? What is conjugate of a complex number? See, conjugate is nothing but the reflection of the point about x-axis. So z conjugate would be x minus iy. So if this point is here, so the reflection would be x minus y, reflection about x-axis. So that is z conjugate. Okay, so actually you want to get the real part of z, na? You can get it by z plus z conjugate by 2. What is real part of z, sir? X. Okay, and if you want to get imaginary part of z, you can get it like z minus z conjugate by 2i. Okay, imaginary part is y, not iy. Some people feel imaginary part means iy. Iy is not imaginary part. Y, only this real number. For example, if I write 3 plus 2i, real part of this z, suppose you call it as z, is 3. Imaginary part of z is 2, not 2i. Okay, remember that. So that is conjugate of a complex number. Okay, now we try to understand the transformation equations. The transformation equations. See, generally we are interested in transformation equations from Cartesian to polar, but here in reverse, polar to Cartesian. See, this is what from Cartesian to polar, you all know it, Cartesian to polar transformation equations. What is Cartesian to polar transformation equations? X is equal to r cos theta, y is equal to r sin theta. What about polar to Cartesian, sir? The polar to Cartesian transformation equations are given by r is equal to under root x square plus y square and theta is equal to tan inverse y by x. And these are the points which we need to understand, or these are the concepts which we need to fix here to express a complex number in polar and exponential form. And this is what we call it as modulus, and this is what we call it as argument. Let us define them. Modulus of z, or simply mod z. See, the modulus of z, we write, okay, mod z is nothing but r. What is it? R. That is nothing but under root x square plus y square. But actually, this is how we write it. R is equal to mod z, which is equal to this one. Okay, R is mod z, the value is under root x square plus y square. Is it clear? Now, if you see a beautiful result here, we just now completed conjugate na. Z into Z conjugate is nothing but mod Z square. Z into Z conjugate is mod Z square. So please remember this, very interesting result. Am I clear? Simply x plus iy, it is x minus iy. So x plus iy into x minus iy is what, sir? X square plus y square. That is nothing but mod Z whole square. Simply. Okay. The next important thing is argument of Z. Okay. So we simply write argument of Z as arg Z. Actually, in literature, we also have another name that is called amplitude. They also call it as amplitude of Z. But we rarely use this term, sir. They can write like AMPZ also. Okay. So I'll just put it in parentheses. So we are not very much interested, but terminology one should know. They also call it as amplitude. So what is argument, sir? The arg Z is nothing but theta. And what is theta? Tan inverse y by x. This is the argument. This is the argument of Z. Oh, sorry. Now look here, sir. We need to understand this particular point. Now we are having a point in xy plane. So this is r and this is theta. So this r is your mod Z and theta is the argument of Z. But remember, suppose if it is a pi by 4, you can come to the same position by traveling pi by 4 plus 2 pi, or pi by 4 plus 2 pi plus 2 pi, still you can come to the same position. That is, this argument can be expressed in infinitely many ways. You can also express like this. This is nothing but pi by 4 minus 2 pi. That is, when pi by 4 is the argument, pi by 4 plus 2k pi is also argument. When pi by 4 is argument, pi by 4 plus 2k pi is also argument. K is equal to 0, it is argument. Plus 1, argument. Plus 2, minus 1, argument. Plus 2, argument. Minus 2, argument. That is, this argument can be expressed in infinitely many ways. It's not infinite arguments. It is one argument can be expressed in infinitely many ways. Clear? So, we need a particular or general argument. Am I clear? And that particular general argument, which we call it as principal argument. A representative, we can call it. Okay, the principal argument. So don't use that general particular kind of names. They given a beautiful name for that also. They call it as principal argument. Okay, so they write capital A for this. Argument only with capital A used. Okay, and they use the capital theta also for this. And this principal argument is the value of theta which lies between minus pi to plus pi. Pi is included, minus pi is not included. Pi is included, minus pi is not included. There is no equal to sign here, you see. Okay, minus pi to plus pi, if it is lying, that particular argument is called principal argument. Because argument, once you get pi by 4, no, pi by 4 plus 2 pi is also argument, pi by 4 plus 4 pi is also argument, pi by 4 minus 2 pi minus 4, like that infinitely many fellows. Okay, out of that one representative fellow we require, and that is what we call it as principal argument. Generally, we try to express everything in terms of principal argument. There is no rule, but generally we use this representative fellow, the principal argument. We try to express in terms of principal argument. That is the argument which lies between minus pi to plus pi. This is called principal argument. And one important result we can note here, sir. This argument we can get it in terms of principal argument plus 2k pi. Any argument you can express in terms of principal argument, where k can be 0, plus 1, minus 1, plus 2, minus 2, and so on. Okay, this is the argument of z. Is the idea clear? This is the argument of z. Okay, so once you understand, we are in a position to express a complex number in polar and exponential form. Okay, representation means how can you express a complex number in different forms. The complex number can be expressed in Cartesian form. We already seen x plus iy. Then comes the polar form. What is polar form? Z is equal to, what is x, sir? R cos theta. That is R cos theta plus I times R sin theta. So taking R, we can write R cos theta plus I sin theta. Got it? Then exponential form. What is exponential form? See, this cos theta plus I sin theta can be written as e power I theta. That is called de Moivre's formula. Okay, where R is the mod z, okay, and theta is the argument. But simply it is under root x square plus y square for us, and this is tan inverse y by x. See, my dear friend, generally this theta which we are written here is principal argument. That is not a rule. Okay, so this can also be expressed as, that is, this can also be expressed in a general form like R e power I theta plus 2k pi. K can be 0. 0 means same thing. Plus 1, minus 1, plus 2, minus 2, and so on. So this is a general form of the complex number, whereas it is specific form. See, it's not infinite answer, sir. It is one answer expressed in infinite ways. Okay, one answer expressed in infinite ways. So generally we try to find the principal argument, that is the value of theta which lies between minus pi to plus pi. Once you done, you can write it in any other form. All these forms you can write. Just plus 2k pi, right? K is equal to 0 is the same thing. K is equal to plus 1, you can put minus 1, plus 2, minus 2. That is plus 2 pi, minus 2 pi, plus 4 pi, minus 4 pi. Like that, infinitely many ways you can represent. Remember, it is not infinite answers. One answer in infinite ways. Okay, one can be expressed in infinitely many ways. It is infinite expressions for the same answer. That is the idea. So this is what we call it as exponential form. Okay, now let us take some examples. We try to express a complex number in different forms. Okay, so the example, let us take the following example. Z is equal to 1 plus I. You want to express it in polar and exponential form. See, both are one and the same only. Okay, so once you write one, other fellow automatically comes. Okay, so we need what, sir? R, the modulus of z. What is modulus of z? Under root x square plus y square, which is under root 2. R is ready. What is theta? Tan inverse y by x. So x is 1, y is 1. So it is tan inverse 1. So what is tan inverse 1? We know pi by 4. So theta is pi by 4. So what is polar form for the complex number, sir? The polar form for the complex number is z is equal to r, that is root 2 cos pi by 4 plus I times sine pi by 4. See, this pi by 4 which we written is actually the principal argument, because this value lies between minus pi to plus pi. This value lies between minus pi to plus pi. Okay, so that is principal argument. Now what about the exponential form for this? What about exponential form for this? Z is equal to root 2 e power I pi by 4. Cos theta plus I sin theta is e power I theta. So this is exponential form. But this can also be expressed in different ways, like root 2. This is called, this one which I am writing is called general expression. E power I pi by 4 plus 2k. See, k can be 0, then it is same as the original one, plus 1 or minus 1, plus 2, minus 2, and so on. This is the general expression for the same answer. Okay. So complex number is same, sir. That can be expressed in infinitely many ways because of this argument. Is the idea clear? Actually, what is this complex number, sir? 1 plus I, somewhere here, 1 comma 1. This is the complex number. Is that clear? This is the complex number. This point is the complex number. This is argument. That length is argument. Is the idea clear? Okay. Let us take the next problem. Z is equal to minus 1 minus I. So when you take R, which is under root x square, that is minus 1 square, plus y square, that is minus 1 square, which is under root. Now when you take theta, which is tan inverse minus 1 by minus 1, which is nothing but tan inverse 1. So generally, if you see previous example and this example, both look same, root 2 and tan inverse 1. Okay, but please be careful, sir. 1 1 is in first quadrant, but minus 1, this is minus 1 minus I, means it is in the third quadrant. So this length is root 2, but this angle is this much. Okay, so if you take this particular angle, this is the angle correct only, but that is not principal argument because it is more than pi. So instead of this, we try to use this angle because this is principal argument. There is nothing wrong if you take the other one also, sir. But we generally try to express in terms of principal argument. So this is the principal argument. Now we know that tan inverse 1 is pi by 4. But what is period of tan? The period of tan is pi. So using that particular one, when tan inverse 1 is pi by 4, even pi by 4 plus pi is also the same angle. Am I clear? So 5 by 4 plus 5 means 5 pi by 4. But this is the angle, sir. 5 pi by 4 is this angle. Same thing, tan inverse 1 is pi by 4 minus pi. What is pi by 4 minus pi? Minus 3 pi by 4. So this is minus 3 pi by 4. Am I clear? So you can easily remember what is this angle. If you are not able to note directly, you can just use this small trick to remember that particular, to understand what is this angle. This angle is minus 3 pi by 4. Both 5 pi by 4 is correct, minus 3 pi by 4 both are correct. But this is more than pi, so it is not principal argument. So when you want principal argument, you take minus 3 pi by 4. This is principal argument. 5 pi by 4, you can get it. Minus 3 pi by 4 plus 2 pi, you do it. You get 5 pi by 4, no? Like that. So how can you express this minus 1 minus I in terms of polar form, sir? Root 2 cos minus 3 pi by 4 plus I times sine minus 3 pi by 4. Okay, I'll just remove this. It is troubling my representation. Minus 3 pi by 4. Is the idea clear? Hope you understand. And in exponential form, it is root 2 e power I into minus 3 pi by 4. See, from now onwards, I mainly write this exponential form. And what is the general form of this, sir? The general form is root 2 into e power I minus 3 pi by 4 plus 2k pi, where k can be 0, plus 1, minus 1, plus 2, minus 2, and so on. This is the general form. Am I clear? So you need to understand the point is where. Otherwise, for both the numbers, you may give the same answer. Okay. Now we are in a position to write, okay, exponential form for any complex number. Okay. So what I want you to do is remember the following, the most important fellows. 4 important fellows. 1, I, minus 1, minus I. So their exponential form, you please remember. 1 is actually e power I 0. So e power I 0 does not look good. That's why I read the general form for 1. E power I 2k pi. I can be written as e power I pi by 2. Minus I can be written as e power I minus pi by 2. And okay, this is minus I. And minus 1 can be written as e power I pi. See, these are principal argument. Here actually I not written principal argument because I0 you can write, there is nothing wrong, but generally we write 1 like this. 1 is expressed in general form only. You want k is equal to 0, you can put k is equal to 1, plus 1, minus 1, plus 2, minus 2, like that you can put it. For all these also you can write general forms. See, general form does not mean infinite answers, sir. Any one answer or one form you take, not one answer. Only one answer is there. One answer is having infinite forms. That's it. Okay. Any one form you take it. That is the idea which we need to understand. So these 4 important numbers you please remember. Is the idea clear? Now let me write results. Now suppose Z1 is expressed in exponential form R1 e power I theta 1 and Z2 is expressed as R2 e power I theta 2. Expressed in the sense the exponential forms are written. Okay. So we can write the product of these two fellows, Z1 into Z2 is R1 R2 into e power I theta 1 plus theta 2. See here theta 1 theta 2 can need not be principal arguments, sir. They may be general arguments. We need to understand. Okay. And Z1 by Z2 can be written as, okay, R1 by R2 into e power I theta 1 minus theta 2. Because when you write R1 by R2, obviously e power I theta 1 by e power I theta 2, which is nothing but theta 1 minus theta 2. Because e power I theta 1 by e power I theta 2 can be written as e power I theta 1 minus e power I theta 1 into e power, okay, minus I theta 2. That is nothing but e power I theta 1 minus theta 2. Is that clear? Like that. So from that we can understand one very important property, that is argument of Z1 into Z2. See, for the product this is argument, is nothing but argument of Z1 plus argument of Z2. And from the next one we can understand argument of Z1 by Z2 is nothing but argument of Z1 minus argument of Z2. So these are very important properties. Okay. So just to conclude, I will give you one more very important property which is called triangular inequality. Mod Z1 plus Z2 should be less than or equal to mod Z1 plus mod Z2. Am I clear? So these properties one should remember. Clear, sir? There was a question asked, okay, in an examination like this. Okay, Z1 is this and Z2 is this. Then what is argument of Z1 by Z2? So first of all, what is argument of Z1? Tan inverse y by x, that is 5 root 3 by 5, which is nothing but tan inverse root 3. Don't be in hurry to find it, sir. If you want, you can find it, no problem. And what is argument of Z2? Tan inverse of, because this is Z2, tan inverse y, that is 2 by root 3. A by B by C means C will go to the numerator. These two cancel and you get again tan inverse root 3. Okay. Now what happens? What is argument of Z1 by Z2? This is nothing but argument of Z1 minus argument of Z2. So what is it, sir? Both are same, na? So answer is 0. So directly you get the required answer. Now consider the following example, sir. Z1 is minus 1 and Z2 is I. I consider this particular example. So you all remember I given 4 important points. 1, I, minus 1, minus I. Okay, I can be written as e power I pi by 2, minus I can be written as e power I into minus pi by 2, and minus 1 can be written as e power I pi. Please remember that. So minus 1 means e power I pi. And Z2 can be written as e power I means e power I pi by 2. Is the idea clear? Wonderful. So what is principal argument of Z1, sir? Principal argument of Z1 is pi. What is principal argument of Z2? Pi by 2. They are principal arguments. Okay. Now what I do is I will try to find Z1 into Z2 product. What is product, sir? Minus 1 into I, that is minus I. So minus I means, again you know how to express minus I in exponential form. It is e power I into minus pi by 2. So what is principal argument of Z1 into Z2, sir? which is minus pi by 2. Okay. Now if you verify this rule which I written for the previous problem, argument of z1 z2 is equal to argument of z1 plus argument of z2. Let us check that. Minus pi by 2 is equal to pi plus pi by 2. 3 pi by 2. Okay. Can you say they are equal? No, we verified that they are not equal. Am I clear? We verified that they are not equal. See the rule, that's why I told you it is valid for normal argument, not for principal argument. See, this argument is minus pi by 2. So if you take some normal argument like z1, z2, this can be written as minus pi by 2 plus 2k pi, where k can be 0, plus 1, minus 1, plus 2, minus 2 and so on. Let us take k is equal to 1. So what is the argument? Argument of z1, z2 can be written as minus pi by 2 plus 2 pi, which is nothing but 4 pi minus pi, which is 3 pi by 2. So I can say that argument of z1, z2 is equal to argument of z1 plus argument of z2. So this rule which I written is valid for normal argument, not for principal argument. This may not satisfy. I can have an example where it is satisfied for principal argument also, but it is not necessary. Am I clear? This is always true. For some argument of z1 and for some argument of z2, the sum will be equal to some argument of z1, z2. Some argument. So there are, infinitely many ways you can express, some values will satisfy this particular equation. That is the idea. Okay. Let us take one more example. z1 is say minus 1 and z2 is say minus I. Okay. So what is, okay, again write exponential form e power I pi for this, and this is e power I minus pi by 2. So what is the principal argument of z1, sir? Pi. Principal argument of z2, sir? Minus pi by 2. Now let us see what is z1 by z2. z1 by z2 means minus 1 by minus I, that is 1 by I, which can be written as multiplying and dividing by I into I by I square. I square is minus 1, so it is minus I. So what is z1 by z2 minus I means e power I minus pi by 2. So what is its principal argument, sir? Principal argument of, okay, I am taking z1 by z2. So what is principal argument of z1 by z2, sir? Minus pi by 2. Now we written argument of z1 by z2 is equal to argument of z1 minus argument of z2. Actually we written for small argument. I am writing it for principal argument and I am verifying it. Okay, z1 by z2 is what, sir? Principal argument minus pi by 2. And this is argument of z1 is pi minus argument of z2 is minus pi by 2. So that is 3 pi by 2 and it is minus pi by 2. Are they equal? No, no, no. But instead of taking principal argument, if you take some general argument of z1 by z2, what is it? Minus pi by 2 plus 2k pi, where k is integer. I take k is equal to 1, which is 3 pi by 2. So for that this will be satisfied. Okay, for 3 pi by 2 is equal to pi minus of minus, that is 3 pi by 2. That will be satisfied. Okay, so the idea is argument of z1 by z2 is equal to argument of z1 minus argument of z2. When you say for some argument of z1 by z2, some argument of z1 minus some argument of z2 will definitely satisfy this result. Am I clear? Of course, like that there are so many things which will satisfy. Suppose if you get one particular combination, plus 2 pi plus 2 pi plus 2 pi, you do it, that also will satisfy. Minus 2 pi minus 2 pi minus 2 pi, you do it, that also will satisfy. But the idea is it need not be satisfied for principal argument. Okay, because principal argument will have unique form, whereas this argument is having infinitely many forms. For one form, definitely it will satisfy. That is the idea. So when we take in this particular example, argument of z1 by z2, argument of z1 minus argument of z2, I taken small argument, but here luckily the small argument and principal argument are one and the same in this case. Am I clear? In other cases, it's not necessary. So some people feel that I written small argument, I should have written capital arg. So it is not necessary that it is satisfied. In this example, it is satisfied for principal argument also, but it is not always. So you need to fix that idea. Okay. So this particular rule which I given is for small argument. It need not be satisfied for principal argument. Okay. This is a general idea, my dear friends. So let us take some more simple problems. 3 minus 2i into 3 plus 4i. They are gate questions only, my dear friends. Okay. So 3, see what you can do is real into real is real, imaginary into imaginary also real. Okay. So 3 into 3, 9, minus 2i into plus 4i, minus 8i square. So I square is minus 1, this becomes real. Now real into imaginary is imaginary, imaginary into real is imaginary. That is 3 fours 12i minus 6i. So you can directly get minus 8 into I square, that is minus 1. So minus of minus plus 8. So 9 plus 8, 12 minus 6 is nothing but 6i. So which is 17 plus 6i. So this is the idea. Let us take one more simple example. 2 minus 3i by minus 5 plus i. So the idea is you multiply and divide by this minus 5 plus i is there, no? So what you do is you multiply and divide by, when it is plus, you multiply and divide by minus 5 minus I. Minus 5 minus I. So denominator is like a plus b into a minus b. A square, that is minus 5 square minus I square. Numerator real into real, imaginary into imaginary, use that idea. So minus 10, minus into minus plus 3i square. So minus 2i plus 15i. So simplify to get the required answer. This is minus 3, sir, because I square is minus 1, minus 13, and it is plus 13i. And in the denominator it is 25 plus 1, 26. So we can write it as minus 1 plus I by 2, because 13 2s 26. So that is the answer. Clear? Next example. It is also gate question. 2 plus I by 3 minus I whole square. So what you do is 2 plus I by 3 minus I, multiply and divide by 3 plus I. So no change. So the denominator a minus b into a plus b, that is 9 minus I square, that is plus 1. So numerator 5 plus I square. I square is minus 1. Okay. So sorry, 6, 2 3 6 minus I square, that is 5, plus 2i plus 3i, that is 5i. Okay. So that is 5 taking common, 1 plus I by 9 plus 1, 10, which is nothing but 1 plus I by 2. Is the idea clear? See, please be careful while doing calculations. He is asking mod value, modulus of this number. So first you write down it in a plus ib form, obviously under root a square plus b square. So what you do, 3 plus 4i by 1 minus 2i, multiply and divide by 1 plus 2i. 1 plus 2i. So what happens, sir? Denominator is 1 minus 4i square, that is plus 4. Numerator 3 plus 8i square. 8i square means minus 8. 3 minus 8 is minus 5. Then it is 6i plus 4i, 10i, which is nothing but minus 5 plus 10i by 5. So 5 cancels now. So it is minus 1 and it is 2. Minus 1 plus 2i or I2. Whatever way you can write. Is the idea clear? Next one, argument of this one. See, one way is finding argument of numerator and argument of denominator. Otherwise, you can simplify this, then you can write the argument. Anyway, you can try. Am I clear? Argument of 1 plus I by 1 minus I. Okay. So 1 plus I by I. So you can multiply and divide by 1 plus I. So what happens, sir? Okay. So this is 1 square plus I square, that is minus 1 plus 2i. Denominator 1 plus 1 you are going to get. That is 2i by 2, which is nothing but I. So once it is I, what is argument, sir? See, argument means normal argument only, but generally we write the principal argument only, which is pi by 2. Any argument, general argument means pi by 2 plus 2k. That is the answer. Even you can use Z1 by Z2 method also. Argument of Z1 minus argument of Z2 also you can find it. What is argument of Z1, sir? Argument of Z1. So numerator we call it as Z1. So argument is pi by 4. Argument of Z2 is what, sir? Minus pi by 4. So what is argument of Z1 by Z2, sir? Z1 is this, Z2 is this. So what is it? Argument of Z1 minus argument of Z2. So which is pi by 4 minus pi by 4. That is nothing but pi by 2. See, sometimes finding this argument would be dangerous. In such cases, first simplify, then you can find argument. Anything is fine. Okay, so this Z1 by Z2 we are calling it as Z here. Is the idea clear? Let us see one interesting definition of logarithm. Of course, this is defined for Z not equal to 0. The logarithm of a complex number Z is defined as log mod Z to the base E. Base E can be written as log to the base E can be written as natural logarithm ln also. Okay, plus I times, okay, argument of Z plus 2k. So this is a definition for logarithm of a complex number. Okay, now let us see one interesting example. Log minus 2. Now immediately you say log is not defined for negative value. But when you consider complex calculus, log is defined for negative value. Only it is not defined for Z is equal to 0. So log of minus 2 according to this definition is log mod minus 2 to the base E plus I times, what is argument of minus 2, sir? Principal argument, let us write. You please remember this. Any positive real number will have argument 0. Any number on positive imaginary axis will have argument pi by 2. Any number on negative real line will have argument pi. Any number on negative imaginary axis will have argument minus pi by 2. So here minus 2 is on negative real line, the argument is pi. Standard fellows. I told you na, standard 4 standard fellows. Okay, minus 1 and minus I. The arguments common not only for this, any fellow on this positive imaginary axis will have argument pi by 2 only. And any fellow on this negative real axis will have argument pi only. That is what I did. So I pi plus 2k. So that is the idea. So it is defined for negative values also. So out of all these values, one value is called as principal value. One value is called principal value. That is nothing but, for example, we actually denote it as L and Z also. Here also capital L is used, and that is defined as log mod Z to the base E plus I times principal argument of Z. This is called principal argument. Okay. Now one interesting thing which I tell you. See, you know, log for a real number is defined only when x is positive. It is not defined for negative value. And for example, if you take log 5, it will have unique value. Log 5 to the base E is a unique value. In real calculus, log 5 will have a unique value. But here if you see log 5, according to this definition, it is log mod 5 to the base E plus I times, what is argument of 5? See, 5 is on positive real axis, argument is 0. So 0 plus 2k pi. This fellow is having infinitely many values. But log 5 is unique value when you take real calculus. As a real number, it is having log will have unique value. And that unique value is nothing but the principal value. That is log 5 is what we call it as, okay, log mod 5 to the base E. This is actually considered as logarithm of a real number. This one we consider there. This particular one we consider as the unique value. This is unique. But log of a complex number is not unique. It will have infinitely many values. That is very interesting point. Okay. So that's why for logarithm we write the general values. For logarithm we write general values. For example, if I have log of 1 plus I. How can you write log 1 plus I? See, we need mod Z. What is mod Z? This is Z now. Mod Z is nothing but root 2. What is theta? Argument. Argument is tan inverse 1. Tan inverse 1 is nothing but pi by 4. So what is log 1 plus I according to the definition? Log mod 1 plus I to the base, I'll write it properly, mod 1 plus I to the base E plus I times theta plus 2k pi. So what is mod 1 plus I, sir? Log root 2 to the base E. See, this is actually your real values actually. This one you calculate as you calculate using your log root 2 using calculator, now that particular answer here. I times pi by 4 plus 2k. Like that. So this is the answer, my dear friends. So out of that, the principal value is, what is principal value? We write capital Ln, which is nothing but log root 2 to the base e plus I times pi by 4. This is the principal value. Is the idea clear? So there is a special interesting, this is the special interesting story about logarithm which we should know. Okay, let us take one example. Okay, this is a question. Log 1 plus I plus log 1 minus I. Actually, for logarithm, the same properties like log z1 into z2 is log z1 plus log z2. This is valid with the properties which you are having for real real numbers, logarithm of real numbers, same properties here also valid. Okay, log z1 by z2 is log z1 minus log z2. This can be used. So log z1 plus log z2 reverse actually is nothing but log z1 z2, that is 1 plus I into 1 minus I. Log a, log 1 plus I into 1 minus I, a plus b into a minus b. A square minus b square. I square is minus 1, minus of minus 1, which is nothing but log 2. We already solved. Log 2 means what, sir? Log mod 2 to the base e plus I times, okay, pi plus 2k. So this is the idea, sir. Log 2 to the base e plus I times, okay, pi plus 2k. So sorry, log 2 is 0, no argument. Why I written 0? 0. This is 0. This is not minus 2, sorry, plus 2. Earlier we solved minus 2. I am writing that. It is plus 2, na? So 0 is. See, for plus 2, what is the argument? Any positive real number, the argument is 0, not pi. Sorry. What is the argument? 0. Please write that. Log 2 to the base e plus I times 2k pi. Is the idea clear? Clear or not? Like, please be careful with the arguments, sir. Properly see that. So this is about logarithm which we should know. Am I clear? The next result, nth roots of a complex number. Nth roots of a complex number. So when you want to find nth root of a complex number, suppose z0 is the complex number whose exponential form is r0 e power I theta naught. So the n roots will have n distinct roots for this. So the n distinct roots of z0 power 1 by n are given by, we write z0 power 1 by n, which is equal to r0 power 1 by n, okay, e power I theta naught by n plus 2k pi by n. So this is the formula for finding n distinct roots of a complex number, and the n distinct roots are given by k is equal to 0, 1, 2 and so on n minus 1. Is the idea clear? Like that. So this is the formula for finding n distinct roots of a complex number. Let us see the example. The cube roots of unity. Okay. So one is expressed as e power I0 or e power I0 plus 2k pi, the general format. Got it? Now you want cube roots. The formula is 1 power 1 by 3 is 1 power 1 by 3. See, when you write this r0 power 1 by n, you are talking about the real value. So 1 power 1 by 3 real value is 1. So we don't write that. So e power I 2k pi by 3. So this is the value. Is the idea clear? So for k is equal to 0, 1, 2, you are going to get the 3 distinct roots. So when you put k is equal to 0, which is e power I0, which is nothing but 1. Okay. And for k is equal to 1, it is e power I 2 pi by 3. Cos 2 pi by 3 plus I sin 2 pi by 3. Okay, cos 2 pi by 3 means what, sir? Okay, you can do it like cos pi minus pi by 3, because 3 pi minus pi means 2 pi by 3. Cos will remain cos, okay, but in second quadrant cos is negative, so minus cos pi by 3 you are going to get. That is, cos pi by 3 is how much, sir? Minus, there is a minus sign, so it is minus half. So this is minus half plus I times. Similarly, sine, in second quadrant sine is positive, so sine pi by 3 you are going to get. Sine pi by 3 is how much, sir? Root 3 by 2. So this is root 3 by 2. And this is what we denote it as omega. And for k is equal to 2, which is e power 4 pi by 3. See, 4 pi by 3 is pi plus pi by 3. Okay, cos 4 pi by 3 can be written as cos pi plus pi by 3 plus I sin pi plus pi by 3. So cos will remain cos. Okay, so third quadrant cos is negative, so you're going to get negative value cos pi by 3. Okay, cos pi by 3 just now we done half, plus I sin pi plus pi by 3. Sine will remain sine, but in third quadrant sine is negative, so you get a negative sign. Sin pi by 3 is root 3 by 2. And this is what we call it as omega square. So 1 omega omega square are the roots. So if you remember, or if you do not remember also, you know the sum of the cube roots would be 0. You can just add and check that. And omega cube is equal to 1. Omega cube means this is omega na. If you omega means this fellow you can take it. Whole cube means 3 cancel. For example, e power I 2 pi by 3 whole cube. This is omega cube, which is nothing but e power I 2 pi. E power I 2 pi is nothing but what, sir? 1. So that is the idea. Okay, not only cube root, sir. You please remember this. Suppose if you want to find fifth roots of unity. So it is 1 power 1 by 5, which is nothing but e power I 2k pi by 5. Okay, I am not completely solving, sir, just trying to tell you. For k is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, we are going to get the fifth roots. Am I clear? And suppose if you call this fellows the 5 roots as 1 alpha, alpha square, alpha cube, alpha power 4, the sum of the roots would be 0, and alpha power 5 would be 1. Am I clear? This can be generalized even for nth roots of unity. For nth roots of unity, e power I 2k pi by n. Okay, where k can be 0 to n minus 1. Suppose if you call them as 1 alpha, alpha square and so on, alpha power n minus 1, the sum of these fellows would be 0 and alpha power n would be 1. So this general idea you can remember for, okay, the roots of unity. Am I clear? Let us take next example. Similarly, we can find cube roots of any complex number. For example, if you want to find cube roots of, say, I. Okay, I means what, sir? We all know e power I pi by 2. Correct or not? Standard number. Argument is pi by 2, e power I pi by 2. And you want cube root of I power 1 by 3 means? Cube root of this means? So what is the formula? E power I pi by 2 by 3, that is pi by 6 plus 2k pi by 3. So we get 3 roots for k is equal to 0, 1, 2. So when you put k is equal to 0, what happens, sir? It is e power I pi by 6. That is cos pi by 6 plus I sin pi by 6. Cos pi by 6 means what, sir? Right here, so that we can save time, space. Pi by 6 means what, sir? 30. Okay, 30 cos 30 is what? Root 3 by 2 plus I sin 30 is 1 by 2. Like, now when you put k is equal to 1, it is e power I pi by 6 plus 2 pi by 3. So that is nothing but, okay, you can make it 6 na. 2 pi by 3 can be written as 6 and 4. So that it becomes 5 pi by 6. Cos 5 pi by 6 plus I times sine 5 pi by 6. Okay, which can be written as pi minus pi by 6. Cos pi minus pi by 6. Because 6 pi minus pi is 5 pi by 6. And this can be written as sine pi minus pi by 6. Okay. Pi minus means cos will remain cos. Cos pi by 6, we already know cos pi by 6 what, sir? Root 3 by 2. But in second quadrant cos is negative, so you get minus root 3 by 2. And this sign will remain positive only in second quadrant. Sine pi minus pi by 6 means sine pi by 6. So the answer is 1 by 2. So this is the answer for k is equal to 1. And for k is equal to 2, sir, e power I pi by 6 plus 4 pi by 3. Okay, or you can write 4 pi means what, sir? Multiply and divide by 2, so that 8 pi by 6 you are going to get. That is 9 pi by 6 you are going to get total. Correct or not? This can be written as 8 pi by 6. 9 pi by 6 you are going to get. Cos 9 pi by 6 can be written as 9 means we can write it as like 3 by 2 na, 3 by 2 pi. This directly 3 pi by 2 plus I sine 3 pi by 2. Simplification. That is cos pi by 2 plus pi means cos pi plus pi by 2 means cos will remain cos only, minus cos pi by 2. Minus cos pi by 2, how much, sir? Cos pi by 2 is 0. So it is 0 plus sine pi plus pi by 2. Sine will remain sine only, but in third quadrant sine is negative, so you get minus I. So what is the answer, sir? Minus I for this. So these are the cube roots of I. These are the cube roots of I. So cube roots or fourth roots or any complex number is given in its exponential form. Any complex number given in its exponential form, we can find the nth roots of the complex number by this formula. R naught power 1 by n e power I theta naught by n plus 2k pi by n. By making k is equal to 0, 1, 2 up to n minus 1, we get the n distinct roots. Is the idea clear? Let us take some interesting gate questions. The first one is I power I. See, it's very interesting, sir. I is what, sir? E power I pi by 2. Therefore, I power I will be what, sir? E power I pi by 2 whole power I. So that is e power I square into pi by 2. What is I square? Minus 1. So e power minus pi by 2. That is the answer. Next one. Log root I. This one also we can solve logically. I means what? E power I pi by 2. Square root means power 1 by 2. That is nothing but log e power I pi by 2 into 1 by 2 means pi by 4. And log and e cancels. You get I pi by 4 as the answer. Is the idea clear? Next one. Root 3 plus I whole power n plus root 3 minus I whole power n. So this particular one, first of all, we need to write the exponential formula for root 3 plus I and root 3 minus I. So what is root 3 plus I, sir? See, mod is nothing but under root 3 square means 3. 1 square is 1. Root 4 is 2. So modulus of this is 2. Next, tan inverse 1 by root 3. What is tan inverse 1 by root 3? Pi by 6. 30 degrees, na? Like that. So you can write it as e power I pi by 6. Now what about root 3 minus I, sir? Modulus would be 2 only, because same story you are going to get. But this argument would be tan inverse minus 1 by root 3. That can be written as minus pi by 6. So the argument is minus pi by 6. So it is 2 into e power I minus pi by 6. Now let us use this and solve the problem. root 3 plus I whole power n plus root 3 minus I whole power n. What is it, sir? 2 e power I pi by 6 whole power n plus 2 e power minus I pi by 6 whole power n. This can be written as 2 power n into e power I n pi by 6, and this can be written as 2 power n into e power minus I n pi by 6. So what we can do, we can take 2 power n common, so that you get e power I n pi by 6 plus e power minus n pi by 6. So if you do not know this formula, please note down e power ix plus e power minus ix by 2 is cos x, and e power ix minus e power minus ix by 2I will be sin x. Okay, we don't need this here, but for completeness we can practice that also. Now this can be written as 2 power n into, because by 2 is not there, na 2 will go to the other side, 2 into cos x is nothing but n pi by 6, cos n pi by 6, that is 2 power n plus 1 into cos n pi by 6. Is the idea clear? Next question, integral of this 1 by z. See, the integrals are similar to that of your real function, sir. We can use that idea. 1 by z integral is log z. Limits are from 5 to 3. So this can be written as log upper limit minus log lower limit. Now here log ab can be written as log a plus log b minus log 5. So what I do is log a minus log b. Log 3 minus log 5 can be written as log a by b, that is log 3 by 5 plus log I. So this log 3 by 5 you can calculate. Now log I means log e power I pi by 2. Log and this fellow cancels, you get log 3 by 5 plus I into pi by 2. Is the idea clear? So this is the required answer. Clear? One more question. See, the point Z is inside this unit circle. This was a unit circle, sir. This is okay, unit circle. So he is asking where would be this 1 by z. See, unit circle means we actually represent it as mod z is equal to 1. Okay, that is unit circle. But this point is not on the circle, it is inside the circle. So it is mod z less than 1. See, mod z is equal to 1 means the point is on the circle. Mod z less than 1 means the point is inside the circle. Suppose if you express this z as r e power I theta, because mod z is less than 1, that is mod r e power I theta, this should be less than 1. That means the value of mod r should be less than 1. Okay, the radial line. So suppose this is the radius, this value would be less than 1. The modulus would be less than 1. Okay, that is about z, sir. Now what about 1 by z, sir? Because z is equal to r e power I theta means 1 by z means 1 by r e power I theta, that is 1 by r e power minus I theta. 1 by r e power minus I theta. Is the idea clear? Now what about this mod value of this, which is mod 1 by r? See, because mod r is less than 1, this should be greater than 1. So this point should be outside the circle. And what about the argument? Minus theta means fourth quadrant. Fourth quadrant outside the circle. Fourth quadrant outside the circle. So fourth quadrant but inside the circle, fail. Third quadrant, fail. Second quadrant, fail. Fourth quadrant outside the circle. So this is the correct answer. Am I clear? So minus theta means fourth quadrant outside the circle, because of this value is greater than 1. That's it. Now let us understand some important circles. See, when you write mod z is equal to r, this represent circle with center at origin and radius equal to r. This represents circle with center at origin and radius equal to r. Mod z is equal to r represents what, sir? Circle with center at origin and radius equal to r. This is an important circle, and we use these circles very regularly in complex integration. Okay. Next circle is mod z minus z naught is equal to r. This is a circle which is actually having center at Z0. Center is Z0 and radius equal to R. So this is the circle. Am I clear? Center at Z0 and radius, assume center at Z0 and radius equal to R. Am I clear? So these are the circles, please remember. For example, if I say mod Z is equal to 2, it is circle with center at origin and radius equal to 2. Please draw the proper circles. Okay. Now for example, if I say mod Z minus 2 plus I is equal to 2. So this circle will be having center. See, Z minus Z0. So it is Z minus of 2 minus I is equal to 2. 2 minus I means what, sir? 2, x value is 2, y value is minus I. So 2 minus I is somewhere here. And radius equal to 2. From here 2 units radius you have to draw the circle. Okay. Not to the scale, sir. Please. Circle like this. Am I clear? Now if you want to check, there is one very interesting question. Now suppose your circle is mod Z minus 2 plus I is equal to 2. Same circle, mod Z minus 2 plus I is equal to 2. Now you want to check whether 3 plus I is inside the circle or outside the circle. Where is this particular point? 3 plus I is inside the circle or outside this particular circle, I want to check. So what you just do is, in place of Z you put 3 plus I, sir. So what you do? 3 plus I minus 2 plus I. You find this value. That is, you find mod Z minus 2 plus I, you calculate. That is what you are calculating. So what is it? 1, 3 minus 2 is 1 plus 2i. So find modulus. What is modulus, sir? 1 plus 4, which is under root 5. Under root 5 is less than the radius or greater than the radius? Under root 5 is greater than 2. Therefore, 3 plus I is outside the circle. So if you want to check whether a given point is inside the given circle or outside the given circle, you can just use this technique to check whether the given point is inside or outside. Am I clear? So this is about circles. One more interesting concept with which we conclude this basics, that is called neighborhood. The neighborhood, actually we call it as epsilon neighborhood. We simply write epsilon NBD of a point Z0. See, what is epsilon neighborhood of a point Z0, sir? See, mod Z minus Z0 is less than epsilon. This is what we mean by epsilon neighborhood of a point. See, when you say mod Z minus Z0 equal to epsilon, center would be Z0 and radius is epsilon. So when you say equal to, this is the circle. See, when you say mod Z minus Z0 is equal to epsilon, so that is circle. The dotted fellow is there, no, that one. But I don't want equal to epsilon, but I want less than epsilon. Less than epsilon means we are inside this. We are inside this circle. All the points inside this circle. Okay, so this is what you mean by around that point. Around that point. So Z0 around Z0. It is Z0 around Z0. All the points around the point Z0. So this is what you mean by neighborhood. Epsilon neighborhood. See, that epsilon is generally a very, very small value. So around that Z0 means around that a very, very small area around that. See, my dear friends, we need to understand this point, why we need this neighborhoods of a point. In real analysis, when you want to approach a point, you can approach from left side or you can approach from right side. But in complex, okay, you are on a complex plane. You are on xy plane. Suppose you want to approach this point, you can approach from left, top, right, bottom, like this, 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 like this. So you can approach in all the directions. So we need to understand all these ideas. That is, around the point, the behavior we should know. So that's why we consider neighborhoods of the point. Here it would be neighborhood. They also call it as open disk. Am I clear? So here we are interested in neighborhoods of the point in complex analysis. Whereas in real analysis, we are just interested in left hand limit and right angle, because just we can approach only in two directions, but here we need to understand the neighborhood of the point, around the point. Okay, so this is about the basic complex numbers, my dear friends.